In the first part of this journey, we stood before a solitary stone, the Pudelstein, a single block carried by ice, layered with story, guarded by silence. Further along the ridge, the Priorstein appeared. Not one stone, but several, an ensemble. Weathered forms rising together, marked by shallow bowls, linked by legend to another place across the valley. Places that did not seem to stand alone. Today, the path leads higher, beyond the isolated stone, beyond the small gathering of rocks, toward something different. Not a single formation, but a line, a boundary laid into the landscape. The forest closes in again as the trail climbs. The ground steepens. The ridge approaches. Somewhere above, stone gathers once more. The path bends, and almost immediately the first stones appear. Not scattered, not fallen at random. Even from below, it is clear. This was once a wall. A continuous line of stone running along the ridge. No towering ruin, no dramatic silhouette. Just a steady structure, still holding its course. It does not announce itself. It simply remains. A boundary once drawn into the height above the valley, and still visible. As the ridge opens, another structure rises into view, the Rinkenturm, a tower built in 1914 by the Württemberg Black Forest Association from local sandstone, named after King Wilhelm II of Württemberg. Not a fortress, not a remnant of conflict, but a viewing tower, a civic gesture, or perhaps an act of recognition of a far older, sacred height. Close by, slender metal masts reach into the sky. It is easy to imagine conflict between ancient places and modern structures, as if the signals sent from here were meant to interfere with something older, with the unseen energies once believed to dwell on such heights. The Rinkenmauer has occupied researchers for more than a century. Its purpose remains uncertain. For a long time, it was described as a refuge, a place where people and livestock could retreat in times of danger. Others have suggested something older, a late Celtic fortification, a Roman refuge, a medieval stronghold, an Alemannic ritual site. No clear archaeological finds have settled the question. And yet, the height itself was mentioned before the year 1100. In a document of the monastery of Reichenbach, the place appears in Latin as in monte, qui ringa vocatur, on the ringed mountain, which means whatever stood here was already known, already named. The wall encircles the summit for roughly 100 meters. Massive sandstone blocks, set without mortar, still holding their line. Whether built for defense, for control, or for something less tangible, one fact remains. Someone chose this height and marked it. Beyond the wall, the path narrows again. The forest closes in. Roots twist across the ground. Rocks emerge among the trees. Between the places we have visited and those still ahead of us, the forest does not return to neutrality. Along the paths, individual stones stand upright, menhir-like, though clearly placed in more recent times. Elsewhere, low arrangements of rock suggest outlines that no longer fully reveal themselves. Perhaps they are nothing more than cleared fieldstone, or perhaps they echo structures long gone. Even between the marked heights, there are hints that this landscape has been shaped, observed, and returned to for far longer than we know. The ridge does not end here. It continues, linking places that face one another across the valley. The Rinkenmauer height we have just left, the Priorstein from the first part of this journey, and the plateau of the Petermännle, toward which the path now leads. The Priorstein and the Petermännle are connected by an old legend, and perhaps not only by legend. Both may share a relationship, now lost in the mist of history, to the ring wall of the Rinkenmauer. Measured on a map, the distance between the Priorstein and the Petermännle is roughly 1.6 kilometers. If one connects these two places with the southeastern end of the Rinkenmauer, where the Rinken Tower stands, two additional lines emerge, each just under 2 kilometers long. A perfect isosceles triangle laid quietly across the hills. Coincidence, topography, or a pattern long forgotten? The line between the Priorstein and the Petermännle runs straight through the valley below, past the Church of St. John, built in the 19th century, and the burial ground beside it. Not far from there, it also crosses the later New Apostolic Church, raised in the 20th century. Different centuries, different confessions, yet the same line. Perhaps that alignment means nothing. Or perhaps, once something ancient is marked, other markers follow. The path continues, toward the final plateau. Let's see if this place called Petermännle hides a secret. A small plateau opens on the ridge. Nothing monumental, yet clearly set apart. The legend of the Petermännle tells of a forest warden in service of the monastery of Reichenbach, a rough, solitary figure, a hunter who knew these woods intimately. According to the story, he fell out of favor with the prior, the head of the monastery. The Prior of Reichenbach was said to sit regularly upon the Priorstein, overlooking the lands and villages below. Dismissed and embittered, the forest warden took his place on this opposing height. From here, he is said to have hurled curses across the valley, toward the Priorstein, where the head of the monastery would sit. The tale claims that the curses were fulfilled, that the monastery was later attacked and the prior forced to flee. As at the Priorstein, shallow bowls mark the surface of stones here as well. They may be natural formations, or they may belong to the same layer of memory that surrounds the Priorstein. The path leads homeward. The ridge releases its hold, and the forest closes around the trail once more. On the way back, a large stone lies tilted among the trees. It resembles a fallen marker, a menhir laid on its side. Perhaps it has always rested this way. Perhaps it only appears deliberate because we have begun to look differently. After 2 heights, 2 stories, and a line drawn across the valley, the landscape no longer feels entirely neutral. What we call coincidence may simply be the shape of terrain, or it may be the residue of choices made long before memory. The stones do not explain themselves. They do not confirm or deny. They remain. And as we descend, the question remains with us. Are these places isolated fragments, or parts of a pattern we no longer know how to read?